Okay, welcome to Math and Computer Tutorial YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Okay, so today I will discuss Oracle constraints like primary key, not null, unique, check, and foreign key constraints. Okay, so I will demonstrate how to create, to add, disable, enable, and drop constraints using Oracle Application Express. Okay, so let's discuss first constraint. When we say constraint, this is a rule that restricts the values in a database. So it is very important to set constraint on your table so that you will control all the data to be inputted in your database. Okay, so we have types of constraint. We have primary key. If the data cannot be null and must be unique, then a primary key should be set. For foreign key, these constraints enforce the relationship between tables. Okay, so if you want to relate two tables, then a foreign key constraints will be used. Okay, for not null constraint, to ensure a column not null, not to accept null values. Okay, for all the data that all the data that are required to input, then a not null constraint will be used. For unique constraint, ensure data is stored in a column or a group of columns, okay, among rows with the whole table. So unique meaning the data redundancy is not allowed. Okay. For check constraint, the process of adding logic for checking data before storing them in tables. So because in check constraint, you can add logic expression or condition, okay, for checking the data before it will be stored in your database. So I have now here create table employee. So let us create new table for employee table. Then I already have all column names here, data type, and the width. So let us now add constraints on this table. So for example, for employee number, let us set primary key constraint because employee number should be unique and cannot be null. Okay. For first name, let us use not null, meaning this column is required. Okay, not null also for the last name. For the salary, let us also use not null and set another constraint. Let us use check constraint. Okay, salary number check constraint. So our logical expression for this constraint, say the salary should be greater than 10,000. Okay, so it means that the salary column, so it has check constraints, which is salary greater than 10,000. Okay, if the user will input less than or equal to 10,000 for salary, it will not be allowed. Okay, so the data will not be inputted in the database. Okay, so for the dep ID, let us now make it as is. So we will use this later for our foreign key constraint. Okay, so let us now run. Okay, so you have table created. So let us check the table structure. So this employee, select, then click now run. So you have here as check, so employee number. So you can see it is set as the primary key. For first name, not nullable. Last name and salary, not nullable. Okay. While the dep ID, null value is allowed. Okay, so let us test the constraint. So let us now insert records on our table. Insert. To employee. Okay, so let us test the first name constraint, not null. Constraint on first name. So if I want to input data on employee number, last name, and salary fields. Okay, so for employee number, let us type employee number, say 1001. Okay, let us provide data for last name, say Cruz. Okay, then for salary, let us type, say 5,000. Okay, then click now run. Okay, as you can see, cannot insert null into first name. Okay, because we omitted first name here. Okay, so that's not allowed because of this constraint, not null. Okay, so therefore we should also include first name here, field. Okay, so let us now supply data for first name. Okay, so we have 4 fields. We have now 4 data. Okay, let us check. Click now run. So another error message appeared. So we have check constraint violated. Okay, because as you can see for the salary, we set check constraint as the salary should be greater than 10,000. So in this example, I inputted 5,000. That's why a violated message appeared. Okay. So let us now correct the error. So salary should be 15,000. Okay. Highlight the data, then click now run. Okay, so we have 1 row inserted. Okay. So let us check the record from employee. Okay, so you have 1 record. So let us now test the primary key constraint. So let us insert another record. So insert into employee. So the same fields, but this time, for example, I want to use the same employee number for the second record. Say, then for the last name, De La Cruz, salary is 12,000. Okay, so click now, highlight, then click now run. Okay, so it says here that a unique constraint violated because the employee number should be unique and not null. Okay, that is the primary key constraint. Okay, so therefore 1001 is not allowed anymore. Okay, should be unique. So therefore, so to correct this, we have to type new employee number. Okay, so let us now run. Okay, so one row inserted. Okay, so click now, select, let us check new records. So we have now 2 records on your table. Okay, so that is primary, not null, and check constraint. Okay, so for foreign key constraint, so we need another table to relate this table into another table. Okay, so I have already table for department. So let us check. So I already created this table. So click now. Okay, so this is the table structure for department table. So I have dep ID and department name. So as you can see, I did not set yet any constraint for this table. Okay, so to add constraint on the existing table, okay, so let us first clear this. Okay, so how will you add constraint on the existing table? So we will use now alter table. Okay, so for example, I want to set primary key for department ID. So type alter table. Table name is, your table name is department. So alter table depth. Okay, then let us modify the depth ID. Let's add primary constraint. Okay, so type primary key. Okay, highlight now your command, then click run. Okay, so we have table altered. So let us check again the table structure. Okay, so your depth ID now was set as primary key. Okay, but for the department name, so let us also add constraint on this column. So altered table depth, modify the name. Okay, modify the name. So let us set this as not null. Okay, because this is nullable. So let us set this as required field. Okay, so click now run. Okay, so table altered. So let us check again the table structure. Okay, your department name now is not nullable, okay, meaning required. Okay, so what if, for example, I want to add another constraint for this department name column? Say I want to limit or provide list for department names, then a check constraint will be used. Okay, so to add check constraint on the existing table, so type alter table. So our table name is depth department table. Then type add constraint. Okay, then provide constraints name saying we will use check constraint. So it starts with CHK for check. Then we have provide the dname. Okay. So type now the constraint check. So check dname is the constraint name for this constraint. Okay, that is check constraint. Okay, check. Then we have provide the logical expression for check constraint. So I want to provide list of department names. So we'll use the name column. Okay, then in operator, meaning in is you have to provide list. Okay, or we will type list of department names. Okay, so we have marketing, for example, accounting, say finance, and sales department. Okay, so it means that we only have choices, we only have 4 choices for department name. These are only the department allowed to input on this column. Okay, so again, so alter table, your table name, type the word add constraint. This is your constraints name for this check constraint. So this is your constraint check. This is your condition or logical expression. Our condition is department name column should only type only marketing, accounting, finance, and sales department. Okay, so let us now run. Okay, name already used by an existing constraint. I used that already. Okay, so let us change the name of the constraint. Say depth name. Because it says here that the name constraint is already existing. Okay, so let us change the name. Okay, so let us now test. Click run. Okay, so you have table alter. Okay, so let us test now the constraint for this table. Okay, so insert into depth. Okay, so we have values. Okay, for depth number, for example, 10. Then we'll say, for example, for department name, we'll type IT department, which is not included in the list. Okay, in the check constraint. So let us check what will happen. So highlight your command, then click now run. So it says here, check constraint violated. Okay, because IT is not included in the list. Okay, so let us now check the error. Say 10, department ID 10 should be assigned in marketing department. Okay, so highlight, then click now run. Okay, so 1 row inserted. Okay, so let us check the record. So select all records from depth table. So click run. So I have now 1 row here. So depth ID 10 marketing. Okay, so let us also check the constraint for department name or department number, which is a primary key. So for example, insert another record for department, so values, but this time I will use again 10 for department ID with other department, which is accounting. Okay, just to test the primary key constraint on department number. Okay, click now run. So a unique constraint violated because the department number should be unique. Okay, so therefore we have to type new data for department ID. So let us set department ID 20 for accounting department. Okay, so click now run. Okay, so let us now complete first the department list. So insert into the values. So 30 for example for sales department. Okay, so insert the data. Okay, another record. We have finance department. So let us set department ID 40 for this department. Then click now run. Okay, so select now the records on this table. So we have now 4 records. Okay, we have 4 departments with corresponding department ID. Okay, so let us now relate this table into employee table. Okay, so how will you relate table? So this time we will use the foreign key constraint. Okay, for foreign key constraint, so I'll show you first the syntax on how to add foreign key constraint. Okay, so this is now the syntax in adding foreign key constraint on the existing table. Okay, so alter table, so type your child table, then type add constraint, then assign constraints name for foreign key constraint, type the foreign key, then indicate what column, the foreign key column, then type the word references, type your table or parent table, and then for the parent table, what column will you use to relate to other table. Okay, so example, our child table should be employee. Okay, and we will relate this table into department table, which is our parent table. Okay, so let us now apply. Okay, so let us add foreign key. Okay, let us clear first. Okay, so alter table. So alter table employee. So this is our child table. Okay, so add constraint. Let us now assign name for foreign key constraint, say FK depth ID, because we'll use depth ID as foreign key. Okay. Then type the constraint foreign key. Okay. So what is the foreign key? Column foreign key is the depth ID. Then type the word references. References, your parent table, which is the department table. And then type the column name. Column name to be used to relate in this table. Okay? So, let us now check. Select and run. Alter table. So, click run. Then we have now table altered. Okay, so let us check now. Test now the foreign key constraint. So for example, let us insert now records. Into employee. Okay, so let us display first the records. For this table, select asterisk from employee. Click now run. So as you can see, we don't have value for department ID. Okay, so let us now input value for this column. Okay, so let us update this record. Okay, so let us use, instead of insert, let us use update. Okay, because we want to update the record 1 and 2. So let us use update. Update table. Table's name is employee. Set dep ID equals to, say, 10 for record number 1, which is employee number 1001, where employee number equals to 1001. Okay? Okay, click now, run. Okay, so let us now update record number 1. Okay, for record number 1, as you can see, we no value for department ID. So update employee table, set dep ID equals to 10, where employee number equals to 1001. Okay, so meaning we will assign department ID 10 for employee number 1001. Okay, so let us now run. Okay, one row updated. So let us check. Click now, run. Okay, so let us test the foreign key constraint. Okay, so for example, for employee number 2, let us assign department ID. So update employee, set dep ID, say for example, equals to 50, where employee number equals to 1002. Okay, so highlight, and now click run. Okay, so it says here, integrity constraint, violated parent key not found. Because if you will check the records for department table, take note that we don't have department ID 50. Okay, because we only have 4 records here. Department ID, we only have 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so let us now correct the error. Okay, for employee number 2, they will assign to sales department. So your department ID should be 30. Okay, so highlight now the data, click now run. Okay, so 1 row updated. Okay, so that's a foreign key constraint. So what if you want to disable the foreign key? So let us now disable the foreign key constraint. Okay, to disable the foreign key constraint, so alter table, employee. Okay, so type disable constraint. Then type the constraints name, which is FK dep ID. Okay, so let us disable this constraint. Disable means temporary disable the foreign key constraint. Okay, table altered. Okay, so let us test. If it is already disabled, so let's check. Insert new record. Okay, or set new record. Say set ID dep ID 50 to employee number 2. So update employee set ID equals to 50 where employee number equals to 1002. Okay, so 1 row updated because the foreign key constraint is disabled. Okay, so that's why dep ID 50 is allowed. Okay, so how will you enable or recall the foreign key constraint? So type now alter table, table's name employee. So this time type enable. Enable constraint, then the constraint's name, your constraint's name. Okay, so let us now run. Okay, cannot validate, parents key not found. Okay, because our employee table, okay, so let us check our employee table records. Okay, our employee records, employee record number 2, the dep ID is 50. Okay, and this dep ID is not found in the parent table, which is the department table. Okay, so therefore we need to update first this record before we will able to enable this constraint. Okay, so let us update dep ID 32, employee number 2. Okay, so 1 row updated. Okay, so let us now check first the record. Okay, so 30. Okay, so let us now alter the table, enable the foreign key constraint. So table altered. Okay, now what if you want to drop the foreign key or other constraint? So the same, drop means you are removing permanently the constraint. Okay, So you should be very careful in dropping the constraint. Okay, so the same, no? So alter table, employee table. So drop constraint, then your constraints name. Okay, drop means you're deleting your constraint permanently. You will not able to use enable command. Okay, table alter. Okay, so let us test. Say set 50 now for department ID for employee number 2. Okay, click run. Okay, so one row updated. So it means that the foreign key constraint is no longer set in the table. So we have dep ID 50, which violated the parent table. Okay. So let us try to enable the foreign key. Let's check if can be recalled. Okay. Cannot enable constraint, no such constraint because you remove permanently the foreign key constraint. Okay. So that's it. So we have created, added constraint, also disable and enable the constraint and drop constraints on your table. Okay, see you to my next video.